Okay, going to do a real quick video here. Next stage of inking. Again, I don't know how the formally trained artists do things, but when I do illustrative inking, I usually break it up into 3 stages after I'm done penciling and tightening everything up. One will be the first outline ink, and that's something kind of like this. And some of them will have more detail like this, and some of them are, more simple like this. And it just depends on what I feel. I need a little heavier guide, something that's more simplistic. I can figure it out on the fly, and I don't need to put as much down for the initial outline. Well, this is basically the initial outline. And now what I'm doing here is the second stage, which is what I call boldline inking. And that's basically where I just kind of do a thicker line, and around certain edges might be bolder than others. I don't know. It's not a perfect thing, but it makes it pop. And that's why I do that. And the third stage, which I can't show just yet, I'll get into later. Well, actually, maybe I can. Let me see what I have here. Let me get a little closer. All that detail there. That's the third stage, and that's just kind of like, texturing in detail. So again, probably not going to talk too much of this one. I don't really have a lot of time to get into any massive subjects. So I'm just going to ink for a couple of minutes and give you an idea of how I do it, at least. Others may do it differently, and that's fine. I think most people do it on their little, digitizing pads nowadays, and I've tried doing that, and I just don't like the feel. I prefer to do it this way and scan it in, and I can clean up in Photoshop. That I don't mind. But I don't like to fully produce in Photoshop or Manga Studios or any of that kind. I don't like to do it on a pad. I'm a big fan of traditional art. I like the feel. I guess I kind of like the messiness too. I got a couple friends, they're big into the digital art, and that's pretty cool. I'm not against digital art. It's just not really part of my wheelhouse. But they're all, got all these little programs for this and that. And I'm most of the time burning wood or, etching imagery into like polished granite and, all these messy, loud, heavy materials. So everybody's got a different way of doing things. This one, I'll show you something here. I started off with this design, and there were some things I liked. I kind of liked the face. I wasn't real thrilled about that. There's aspects of it. I kind of like the wings. It's a different style than what I typically do. But I wanted him kind of perched on a rock or something. But this, something about the form wasn't right, and I didn't like my claws or whatever. It was too clunky. I don't know. I didn't like it. So I worked on some other things for a while and came back to it, and I came up with this, and it's a little bit more spindly, more menacing, and more interesting. It's more dynamic. I think the form is better. Really really getting into it. And sometimes also, if I'm more into a work, you'll see more detailing in the ink phase, initial outline phase, or the initial penciling stage. That doesn't mean I don't like an artwork if I don't do that, but it's a pretty good indication. I use felt tip pens. I don't know if they're what most people call high quality. It was a good price. It's getting the job done. I'm not having massive bleed issues. I used to spend like ungodly amounts of money back when I was, in high school, worked a part-time job. I basically lived with my folks, and they paid the bills, and I worked and kept my car running and paid my own gas money and car insurance. Beyond that, all my money was my own. And then when I got out in real life, I realized how expensive things are. Well, I started relying on cheaper materials. The paper is Bristol, just fine-tooth surface sketch paper, 100 sheets. Pretty cheap. I used to draw nothing, for final works or illustrations, nothing other than Bristol board, something more of a cardstock, and that's kind of expensive. So, and I don't need it to be that way. I don't care if it's a little flimsy, I just gotta be a little more careful when I'm erasing my pencil marks. So. Some areas it kind of flub up and do a little bit thicker, and that's okay. I mean, you don't shoot for that, but it just happens. When you pull back, like a lot of things, it all goes pretty well. And some areas can be too thin. You can come back and touch those up. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me on Facebook or Instagram or my YouTube channel. Also got an email, chriskattfineart@gmail.com. That's Katt is Katt. Okay. I think you can get the idea. So